I'm Kevin Abdulrahman. My guest today is Joy Ajlouny.
In my life, a little bit of it.
Decision.
Wow, you got me. This is joy in a nutshell. And you're losing it on the fasting.
Wait until I actually lose it.
With huge pints of ice cream.
It happens to all of us. She believes it's been in her DNA.
Yeah, wow, you're really good. You are a California guy. Now you're a California guy. You're crossing over.
She's one who lives what she talks about.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
I'm lost. I'm completely lost.
We're back.
Kevin's totally lost, as usual.
Wow, you're really good. You could write my memoirs if I'm dead.
Someone told my guest, you can't. And that, my friends, was the start of her journey. And I hope that from the many things you'll be able to pick up from the conversation, you realize an important fact, that it doesn't matter what other people think of you. What matters is what you think of you. My guest is a bull in a china closet, and she makes no apologies for it. It's what got her to where she is. She's direct, she's unapologetic, she is relentless. My guest is one who lives what she talks about, that you must dare to change. You must take a chance because life is too short and the worst decision is not making a decision. My guest was born and raised in New York to a conservative Palestinian family. She studied at the Georgetown Washington University in finance and economics. She's been an entrepreneur at heart ever since she can remember. Opening up her first store at the age of 23, she went on to have a chain of fashion stores called Joy's. Then, she set up a fashion e-commerce company called Bonfair. That was acquired by Moda Operandi, the group that's owned by LVMH. In 2015, she became the co-founder of Fetchr, the delivery company that disrupted the Middle East's no-address issue. She has since exited, but while she was there, Fetchr was operating with a staff of over 5,000 people. My guest moved from Silicon Valley to Dubai. 1 plane ticket, 2 suitcases. Her first thought? Why am I here? Why did I leave Silicon Valley to come to the desert? You want to know why? Because my guest is a risk taker. It's in her DNA. She's got hustle. She's got determination. She has an instinct for business. She's not driven by accolades, but more so her accomplishments, by setting goals and achieving them. My guest today is a serial entrepreneur who started 2 venture-backed startups. She's also a speaker and an advocate of gender equality. She's a consultant for startups and venture capitalists. And no doubt, she is already eyeing out her next opportunity and play. My guest has an unmatched knowledge and expertise when it comes to funding, investing, startups, and marketing. How do I know that? Well, because to date, she has led the largest Series B funding ever by a woman. Overall, she's raised over $93 million in funding. That puts her firmly in the top 1% of women when it comes to raising funds. Period. Friends, this is a woman who's helped bring Silicon Valley investors to the Middle East. A woman who's considered by many as the #1 female tech entrepreneur in the region. A woman who graced the cover of Forbes Middle East, ranking her startup as the #1 in the Middle East, and also profiling her as one of Middle East's top brand maker. She's focused, she's type A, she's got a lot of guts and a whole lot of heart. She doesn't take no for an answer. The way she sees things, if you're not disrupting the market, then you will be disrupted. It's that simple. If you're looking for the secret sauce to success, but more importantly, are willing to pound the pavement to achieve your goals, regardless of who you are or where you're from, you'll find this to be a treat. This is How Do They Do It? I'm Kevin Abdulrahman. My guest today is Joy Ajlouny. Thank you for making it here.
Well, thank you for having me here.
I think it's been a couple of months of conversation for us to make this happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it has.
But you're busy, so I appreciate that. Let's get into it with asking you the secret sauce to your success.
Ah, the secret sauce.
Or just to, if someone is watching this and they go, I've only got 2 minutes, Kev.
Okay, secret sauce.
To success.
Secret sauce to my success. So I think in this day and age, everybody is really concerned about what other people think of them.
Here's just a quick note. In case you don't know Joy, this is going to be like straight up talk. So
yeah,
don't be shocked.
No, I'm known for being straight up talker. So my magic to my secret sauce is that I really don't care what somebody thinks of me. And I know that sounds a little abrasive, but when you get to a position where you don't care what someone thinks of you, you've reached a position of power that's frightening. And I'm going to explain why. I think in this day and age, I feel sorry for the younger generation because everybody's so obsessed with like Instagram
Perfection.
And how do I look and that perfect picture on Instagram with that perfect vacation and the perfect hair and how many likes someone got and how many messages somebody received. It's this brain of like what everybody thinks of you.
Yeah.
And I think that when you do that, you are trapped. You're trapped in your own body because your self-esteem and what you think of yourself is based on what other people think.
Yeah, you're not being you.
And if you do that, then boy, you're in a circle of hell because then everything you think about yourself and your self-esteem is based on somebody else.
Yes.
And you're going to realize that you can't make everyone happy.
100%.
So.
But have you always been like this, or was this experience and time?
Oh no, it's what I got to.
Okay.
I woke up one morning and I was like, wait a minute. Because I was a girl who was worried about what everybody thought. And then I got to the point where I was like, wait a minute. What do I think of myself? And people don't spend time thinking about what they think of themselves.
Yes.
They're too busy worried about what everybody thinks of them.
Well said,
right?
yeah.
But if you do that, you've reached a position of power. And that's my magic sauce. I truly don't care what somebody thinks of me. I only care about what I think of myself. And that's been my magic sauce. And one of my favorite quotes, which I tell a lot of entrepreneurs, is
it the Eleanor Roosevelt?
It is the Eleanor Roosevelt, which is nobody can make you feel inferior without your consent.
100.
And I adore that saying because when somebody says something about you, you take it personally. You're like, and if you just stop and you ask yourself, well, what do I think of myself? And if you can stop in that moment and just say to yourself, wait a minute, that's not how I feel about myself. You allow someone to make you feel bad about yourself. You allow somebody by what they say to affect you. And that's all you.
Yes.
That's not them.
Yes.
So that is something that I tell the younger women, look at yourselves, acknowledge who you are and own it. Own who you are. Nobody knows who they are. And I think in this day and age, midlife crisis has come earlier for the millennial generation,
100%,
right?
Yeah.
The millennial generation doesn't know what they want or what makes them happy, where usually in the older generation, it was like midlife crisis was like at 50.
That's right.
When you had a baby and a house and you're like, wait a minute, I'm midlife. Where I think the millennial generation gets a midlife crisis a lot earlier. So I think that's what my message is to these young women.
And if you could perhaps talk to yourself at the stage where you weren't like that, or if someone's watching this or listening to this, is at a place where they do care about others?
Yeah.
Are there steps, or is there something that you could share that where they can, because this is just a mindset, like a shift in mindset.
It's a
That's
mindset.
all it is.
It's a mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100% it's a mindset. I think you have to ask yourself one simple question. Is it true?
Get inspired.
Whether you're in Dubai for business or pleasure, the last thing you want to do is blow your budget on accommodation, which is why I recommend you check out our host venue partners, Rove Hotels. Beyond being price sensitive, what I love about Rove Hotels is the fact that they are a combination of cafe, culture, and just coolness. Even my guests, many of them, when they arrive before we record or after we finish recording the podcast, they actually comment. They go, wow, this place is cool. The vibe is amazing. And it is amazing. So if you're in Dubai for business or pleasure, I recommend you check out our host venue partners, Rove Hotels. This episode is brought to you by M Dojo. Whether you're in business or new to business, you need three things: a good website, traffic, and being able to convert that traffic into paying customers. That's what M Dojo does best. They're able to create for you a functional, state-of-the-art website, drive targeted traffic, and put in all the elements needed in order to convert that into paying customers. Isn't that what you want? Of course it is. Give the team at MDojo a call and see how they can help you increase your sales and profits. Tell them I sent you. Their website, mdojo.co.
You know, I think people
Is
are
what
like,
they think of me true?
yeah, if you just stop and ask that question, do I know that this is 100% true? Is it 100% true? And when you ask that question, you're going to realize that you cannot affirm that 100%. God, something simple. I got up this morning and I look really bad. Like, you know, people think I look really bad today, right? You have to sit and say to yourself, is that really true? Or is that something that I'm thinking in my head?
And if it's true, do I care?
And do I care? No. Because again, you know, I'm a big believer in energy, right? I'm a California girl,
yes,
right? I'm a Northern California girl, so that makes me a little bit of a hippie. You know, another one of my favorite quotes, and I have these on my social media pages, which is, if you connect the reality with the frequency that you wish to accomplish, you cannot help but create that reality. That's not physics. That's not philosophy, it's physics. Albert Einstein said that.
Say that again?
It's a very famous Albert Einstein quote.
It's deep.
Well, it's true. It's like the world is all energy, right?
Yes.
And I know that it's not philosophy. Yeah. This is actual quantum physics. If you get up in the morning and you feel positive about yourself, before you know it, every single moment triggers into a positive experience.
Yes.
If you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh my God, I had a flat tire, my life is terrible, that energy is in a cell level. And it's like negative comes negative comes negative.
Yes.
So it's really important to have this full circle of positive energy and thinking good thoughts about yourself. It's a little deeper than that. It's this full circle of being.
Yes.
Which is know who you are, believe in yourself, wake up every morning believing in it. It's a practice.
And when you
it's
wake
a practice.
up, yeah.
It really is a practice.
Because when you wake up in the morning, it's funny. We had this conversation.
Yeah.
My brother was asking me half an hour before you arrived.
Yeah.
He goes, "How has intermittent fasting?" Because I've been doing this for.
Oh, now you are a California guy. Now you're a California guy. You're crossing over to my side.
I do have a lot of friends in California. Yeah. But I've been doing intermittent fasting, and he goes, "Have you seen the benefits of what they say, increased focus or increased creativity?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, none of those. But what I do know is that by doing it, and I've been doing it now for close to 6 months, I know that for me, it sets the tone for the day. Knowing that I'm doing it, it's now just become a normal habit. I don't eat till about 4 p.m. That has been the setup for me to have a great day. So it's been that positive anchor, kind of like The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. He goes to the gym at 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah, it's a mental thing.
Yeah, it's that positive anchor that sets you up for the day.
Absolutely. Your mind is a very powerful tool.
We don't realize it.
Oh, I realize it.
Yeah.
I wake up every single morning, and I know this sounds really ridiculous. Even when I'm saying it to you, I sound like ridiculous. I'm grateful. If I don't have a single thing more in my life, I have more than enough. And I know that sounds really like, oh yeah, it's the self-affirming. No, that energy sets the tone for more energy, because I'm sending off an energy into the universe, which is I'm happy, I'm content, I feel good about myself, and that emulates.
Yes.
This is physics. So if you wake up every morning with that, good things happen to you. Gratitude, feeling like you have enough.
Yes.
Content in, what you look like, or what you feel, or the family that you have. It's amazing how it works.
Some of the basic things that we don't realize we take for granted. Yeah. Have you always had that gratitude aspect? I know how powerful it is, and I practice it diligently every day. But if someone's going through a tough time, like their deepest, toughest time.
Yeah, but it's a mind frame. It's a mind frame.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. It's okay. It's life. You're going to get through it, and somewhere where it doesn't work out, then something better is going to happen. You see how you change your mind into not being a victim.
Yes.
Victimhood is a negative energy.
And you're giving control to the outside.
Yeah, and you're giving the control to other factors to tell you if you're happy or not.
Right.
Instead of you taking control of your life. I don't believe in revenge, and I believe in redemption, which is everybody in life has bad things happen to them.
Sure.
Everybody.
Absolutely.
Nobody gets off the roller coaster ride.
Welcome to life.
Yeah, but how you view it has been my magic sauce, which is, okay, this happened to me. I get it. That's all right. That's life. Something better is going to come along.
Yes.
But you see, I'm not allowing outside forces to make me miserable. Because what you think here controls everything. Energy, mindset, how people think of you, how you view yourself. It's in your mind. It's your thoughts. And if you change your thoughts, you'll change your reality.
Absolutely.
That is the huge cycle of everything that I talk about. Your thoughts create your reality.
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
Get up in the morning and think you're lucky. Get up in the morning and be like, okay, this opportunity didn't work out for me, but then something better is going to come along, and you'll change your life. It sounds ridiculously simple, but
it is just that.
it is just that. It's practice.
Try it. Just try it. It is
No, it's practice.
Yeah.
It's practice because we're used to going to the negative.
Yes.
We're so used to it.
It's like default.
Yeah.
Like default setting.
Immediately.
Yeah.
But it takes time, and it took me time. It wasn't like this is something that I was born with. It's something that I exercised. It's like if you exercise, you're going to get a better tone in your body.
Yes.
If you do this, and you consistently watch your thoughts and your words, you become more prone to speaking that way.
Absolutely. You mentioned luck. Are you a believer in luck?
Am I a believer in luck? I'm a believer in energy.
Okay.
Energy creates luck. So
And you
Am
just
I
said
a
earlier that you
believer?
can create that energy, right?
I believe that you make your own luck. I believe that you create your own luck by how you view the world and how the world views you. Right? So so do I believe in luck? No. I think you create your luck by your own energy.
That's a good one. So from the intro, people will, and I certainly had it as well, people will have the assumption that you are superhuman. And you are superhuman. But we feel that as a superhuman, that you won't make wrong decisions, you don't experience challenges, you don't experience failures, you don't have frustrating times.
Oh God, no. God, no. I've had nights with huge pints of ice cream.
It happens to all of us.
I've had rides to the gas station where I picked up buckets of ice cream and said, no. Look, I'm human. We're all human. But the important thing is to rise above it. We're all going to get kicked in the face.
Absolutely.
All right? Nobody's exempt from that. No, it's about, having your moment, but then rising out of it by changing your thoughts. So, yes, I will have moments where I'm thinking, oh my God, but then I stop myself and I go, God, everything is so great. I change my thoughts and then my perception changes of my life.
Yeah.
And then it's how you think about it. Like, you gotta wake up and just say, okay, this happened to me, but I'm gonna rise above it. It's okay. This is not meant for me to happen. This was not meant for me, and that's okay. Something better is gonna happen. So in changing my thoughts, I go from being a victim.
Yes.
Right? No longer that victim mentality. Now I'm in control of my own life because I'm changing and controlling my own thoughts. Right? People always say I'm looking for happiness. I don't understand that. Happiness
It's right here.
is right here. I get up in the morning and I go get a cup of coffee.
Oh,
and I run into, into someone at the coffee shop that I know. And it's a familiar face. And I swear to God, that makes me happy.
Yeah.
I just ran into someone that I know and I'm like, how are you? And that connection, little things make you happy. It's not the boat. It's not the car. It's not the money in the bank account. That's why there's a lot of rich people who kill themselves, right? Money doesn't make you happy, right? Happiness is a everyday little things that make you happy.
Absolutely.
I get a hug from somebody who says, it sounds silly, but that's why as you get older, people, go to their villages and they sit and they see the neighbors and they connect to the neighbors because I believe happiness is a connection.
Yes.
Well
said. Well said. That's a good one.
I am most happy when I'm connected to humanity, but I'm somebody who's a very weird person. I'm super strong and super outspoken and super focused, but at the same time, I live in my heart. And I know that sounds silly, but I'm connected here and here. And what makes me happy is my mom calls me in the morning and she goes, Mama, something silly. I prayed for you, Mama. I love you. I'm happy.
Oh, that's great.
I mean, that brings tears to my eyes. That fills my heart just hearing her say, Mama, I love you.
Yes.
That's it. That's happiness, is when you feel connected to humanity. And I think that's why the millennials and the generation is changing, because I think it's more materialistic and I think people are more outside rather than in. It's a whole circle. It's a mindset. It's a heart connection. It's knowing who you are as a person. It's a circle. It's not one thing.
Yes.
It's a whole thing.
But the common factor is the choice you make.
It's choice.
To realize it, the fact that you have control of it.
Absolutely. You can choose to be happy.
And you can choose to be unhappy.
Or you can choose to be unhappy. It's up to you.
And if you're unhappy, you have to realize you're making that choice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, happiness is a state of mind. I really believe that. Choose happiness. Why choose misery?
That's true. Yeah.
And that's all about the whole thing that we've been talking about in your mind, the energy that you portray to the universe. My name is Joy, right? So I guess somebody gave me a good name, but I try to live that every day. That doesn't mean that I don't have, moments. We all do. But it does mean that I need to train my mind not to go to the dark side.
Yes. Yeah.
And that is practice.
Absolutely. The reality is, I think they've done heaps of studies, but they say on a daily basis we have 40 to 50,000 thoughts. Most of it are negative, which is why you need to put a leash on your thoughts.
Yes.
And make sure that you're driving it in the right way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Get inspired.
One of the questions that I get frequently asked is, Kev, how can I increase my motivation? We see great individuals, we see achievers, like many of the guests that I'm bringing on the show. They have the energy, they do so much, they're in a state of flow. How do they do it? Well, my team and I have released an article which I've made available on kevinabdulrahman.org/blog, the ultimate biohacking guide to increasing motivation. Or you can simply Google Kevin Increase Motivation and the article should pop up right at the top. It's absolutely free. Read it, and most important of all, take the bits and pieces that are relevant to you and apply it into your life to increase your motivation. I hope you find the article of value. If you do, feel free to leave your comments and also share it with your circle of friends. Again, you can Google it, Kevin Increase Motivation. It will be the first link that pops up, or on my website, kevinabdulrahman.org/blog.
We take care of our skin, we take care of our hair, we take care of our bodies, but nobody ever talks about taking care of your mind. And you'll see in this day and age, depression is higher.
Absolutely.
Suicide is higher.
Yep.
Girls who are anorexic, bulimic are higher. Men who suffer from self-loathing and depression are higher.
Just unhappiness is rife. Yet we have everything. We have more than every other generation.
100%. Yeah. We have more than any other generation. Yet we have more depression and mental illness. And mental illness and depression is real. I talk about depression in a lot of my talks. I've gone through it, and I don't think there's a human being out there that hasn't had moments of real depression. I think it's a real thing in the millennial generation. And I talk about it openly. I've been there myself. It's kind of what got me here as well.
Yes.
And I'm open about it. I don't feel shame. That's another magic to my sauce.
Yes.
Because shame is a fear energy, right? Because you go back to thinking about what other people think. So I'm very open. Yes, I've gone through moments of deep depression. I don't feel shame about it. Again, no one is going to make me feel inferior without my consent. And again, I think it's a real subject that needs to be talked about because I think a lot of people go through it.
That's true, yeah. Just about everyone, I think, goes through it, whether they have the label or not, but we have our dark times.
Yeah, and I think in the Middle East, people don't talk about it, right? I think it's something to be hidden. But I think a lot of people go through these emotions. I just think they don't know what to do with them.
Yeah. You mentioned fear. You come across as a fearless person.
Yes.
Always the case, or did you develop that?
I developed it.
Okay.
I developed it. So when I speak to everybody out there, it's not like I'm the guru. Hell no. I've gone through many nights of ice cream and many nights of depression and many nights of not knowing who I am and caring about what everybody thinks. I can hopefully make a difference in someone's life because I'm not somebody that was there from the beginning. I was basically somebody who hit rock bottom. I was depressed. I didn't want to live. I had suicidal thoughts. I'm very honest about that.
Yeah.
That's what got me here. And that's why I hope that through my own experience that somebody can say, well, if she can do it and she's been there, then I can do it too.
Absolutely.
Because I'm not anyone special. I've hit rock bottom like nobody has. But this realization is what's gotten me here. And I hope that it can help other people get there too.
100%. Let's do a pivot to business. There are a lot of people that have ideas.
Yeah.
They have an idea of going, oh, this app would be a great idea in the market. There is a gap in the market. But, no, I don't have the skill to do it. Or I don't have the ability to do it.
That goes back to the thing we talked about. That means you're automatically feeling inferior, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And what interests me is the fact that you started an e-marketing business.
Yeah.
I think without the knowledge or the skill of setting up an e-marketing or an e-commerce business. Was that true?
Oh, yeah, totally.
So can you take us through that thinking process in the hope that if someone does have an idea, they're not held back with the thought of, you know, oh, I don't know how to do it, or I don't have the skills, or how did you do it?
Oh, nobody has any skills. I mean, startup is all about the big question mark. Okay? It's all about that big question mark.
Yeah.
You figure it out. Figure it out. Nobody has all the answers. What you need in a startup is the guts to say to yourself, I don't have all the answers, but I'm going to figure it out. Because that is something that every startup has. But the one thing every startup needs is you can't second guess that you're going to figure it out. Because if you're second guessing that you can't figure it out, then you're not an entrepreneur. Because you talk to all entrepreneurs, usually when they start off an idea, they do something, they pivot, right? Pivot is, I have this idea, but then as I'm moving along,
boom, we're changing, yeah.
It's not what I really think is going to work, and I change the idea. It's very common in startups to pivot. So I think the main thing for an entrepreneur is you got to believe that you can do this. And if you can't believe that you can do this, then you're not an entrepreneur, and then you shouldn't.
So how did you get into your that first e-commerce business that you set up? When you had the idea, you clearly saw a gap in the market, but you didn't have the skill to implement.
No, I didn't.
How did you go about doing it?
I figured it out. That's the skill of being an entrepreneur,
right?
Is not having all the answers. So I just went ahead, asked a lot of questions, and just knowledge. It's like learning a language or learning a skill. You just got to keep at it until you figure it out.
Right.
Yeah, but that's the nature of being an entrepreneur.
And then do you implement it yourself? Or what are your thoughts? Do you hire?
You hire.
Or do you bring a co-founder? Or
you have to have a co-founder.
Okay.
I think it's really important to have a co-founder. Because being an entrepreneur is a really lonely business. Because you eat, sleep, drink your company 24 hours a day. And I think it was, who was it who said that being an entrepreneur is like building an airplane while you're being thrown off the cliff? It was
Reid Hoffman?
Reid Hoffman who said that, yeah. So it's true. Imagine you're being pushed off a cliff and you're about to crash and die. And in the meantime, you got to build this airplane so before you hit the ground.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a lonely, crazy place because you eat, sleep, drink, and nobody understands that than your partner. So you need somebody to talk to. You need somebody to feed off of. And most good startups begin with at least another co-founder. And it's really important to find a co-founder that has opposite skills of you.
Yeah, so I was going to say, so if you're someone with an idea, or, you know, I guess if you're the person with the idea, how would you go about looking for a co-founder if that's the first
That's
step?
like a marriage, guys. Oh, God, that's like a marriage. I can tell you that.
So this is relationship advice and biz advice all in one.
Oh, God, finding a co-founder is really tough. I mean, I've had 2 startups, right? And I can tell you that you need to find somebody that has completely opposite skill sets. And you need to find somebody that you feel that you can trust.
Do you put an ad in Divizzle?
No, that's like dating.
Looking for a co-founder.
That's like,
I go on Tinder.
That's like Tinder and Bumble. No. You need to keep going to, you know, these startups, these ecosystems where a lot of young startups go.
Right.
And you get in the ecosystem. Now, I think in California, it's a little easier because these ecosystems are everywhere. Sure. And people have an infrastructure where they tell people, I'm looking for a new founder, you know, keep your mind open. So I think here it's a lot harder to find someone, right? Plus, you know, in the United States, everybody lives there, right?
Sure.
So, you know, here, you know, are they permanent? Do they have a job? Do you have to hire them before their visa runs out? Like it's tough finding somebody here because, you know, most people who are here in this region are not indigenous to this region. Sure. We're all visitors and we're all, you know, guests here. We have visas. So we are honored guests, but, you know, all guests, you know, run out of time. So I think finding someone to be your partner is tough here. It's tough here. Where I think it's easier in Saudi Arabia or these countries because they have bigger infrastructure.
Sure.
Right. So I think it's not easy. It's like finding your husband. It's like asking me, well, how do you find someone to marry? Well, God, how do you?
We shall let you know when we find the answer.
How do you tell people,
right.
I'm looking for, and you let it be known that you're looking for, and then eventually it's an ecosystem, it's an infrastructure.
And say if you have 4 potential candidates,
Yeah.
you're going on 4 business dates
Yeah.
to get to know them. What are you looking for in a co-founder in terms of quality?
Compatibility.
Okay.
I mean, first of all, you got to be able to speak to them, and they have to be able to listen to you back, and you have to be able to get along with them. It's a marriage. You will spend more time with your co-founder than you will with your husband or your wife or your boyfriend, or your mother or your father. 100%. It's a marriage. It's deeper than a marriage, because you're building something. You're taking investor money. This is like
you're in the trenches with huge responsibilities.
You gotta marry this person. You gotta really trust this person, and this person has to be your best friend, because believe it or not, most startups fail because co-founders break up.
Yes.
And I have a lot of examples here in the ecosystem themselves where founders fought, and it causes huge disruptions. So there's no answer. It's a little luck.
And this could have been avoided, right?
It's like a marriage. How do you know your marriage is going to last? You don't.
Yeah. But with experience, let's say, for example, if I'm dating today compared to, say, 15 years ago.
No, you still make those mistakes.
I make the mistakes, but I'm hoping the percentages would be, I've got better filters in place.
You hope.
You hope, yeah.
You hope.
He's pretty much saying he's got better hits now.
I don't think I've got better hits, but yeah. I just like to think I'm that slightly like 0.5%.
You know what? You don't know.
Smarter.
I mean, there are people who have been married the first time. They're not going to make this mistake the second time. They marry someone and then they're divorced 6 months later. You know what? It's the luck of the draw. It's communication. You have to make sure that you can disagree. I mean, hell, in startups, you disagree on everything. Right?
I mean, some will say, some advice from top folks are you need to find someone who thinks differently from you. So you're saying maybe different skill.
Thinks differently,
but you're willing to.
But doesn't have to have, you have to be able to have a disagreement.
Yes.
Where you don't leave the room. It's like going to bed angry.
Yes.
Right? The husband and wife will always say, don't go to bed angry with your.
Yes, put it all out on the table.
So you have to have a partner that doesn't leave angry if you have a difference of opinion. Sure. Are they the kind of person that can handle conflict without walking away feeling resentment? Mm-hmm. Because resentment in a startup is very strong, especially when you start talking about giving equity partners. Yes. I mean, if you start talking about equity share and what are you going to get in the business, it can cause a lot of resentment. It's a relationship. Sure. It's a real relationship.
It needs to be communicated with early on.
It is.
Yeah.
And what happens, what I noticed in a lot of startups is that these are guys who've never seen a lot of money. They come from humble families, right? They're smart. And then all of a sudden they've got $20 million in the bank account. Ego takes into place because a lot of these entrepreneurs are bright, but they've never had this. Nobody's ever had $20 million in their bank account. And then all of a sudden they get into an ego problem. And this causes a lot of disruption in a lot of startups because these are kids with great ideas with $20 million in their bank account.
And this is not the kind of disruption you're talking about when you're talking about disruption in the market.
No.
This is the wrong disruption.
But that's an issue.
Yeah.
That's an issue. And a lot of VCs in Silicon Valley will ask you, how long have you known your partner? How do you guys know each other?
Yeah.
Because they're giving you money for this marriage. They got to make sure the marriage is strong.
And if you can say that you spent your university years being in a tiny studio together for 4 years, they know that you've handled each other's worst.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But in Silicon Valley, they ask that question. First thing, how do you guys know each other? So when I pitched, I've pitched over, I've pitched over 100 venture capitalists, maybe 200 venture capitalists. First question they asked me is like, how do you guys know each other? How did you meet? They want to know.
Interesting.
Because part of selling your idea is marketing.
Yes.
Right? You're selling. And startups are selling. 24 hours a day you're selling. You're selling your idea. You're selling your product. So
first and foremost, you're selling you.
And you're selling you because the investors, and 9 times out of 10, the VCs will tell you, this idea is a little bit, it needs tweaking, but you know what? I like you.
Exactly.
I like your background. You're creating a makeup line, but I see that you come from L'Oreal, New York. I like that. You have experience. You understand the industry. I'm banking on you.
That's right. So, I'm banking on you because if it doesn't work, I know you'll be able to pivot accordingly.
Exactly. So VCs have to invest in the person first.
Yes.
right? And their background and the idea, of course, has to be liked.
Sure.
But the number one, a good VC looks at the credibility of the background.
Absolutely. You mentioned pitching. How did you develop your pitching skills? Because I see a lot of entrepreneurs, and they're going out there and they're just banging their head against the wall. I mean, I'm a public speaking coach, so I work in terms of crafting your pitch. But I'm curious to know.
Energy. We go back to energy. We go back to energy.
Yeah.
Look.
But how did you develop it? Having done 200, like how was the first one? Maybe take us through the rawest one, if it was.
Here's the blueprint.
The terrible one, and how it evolved.
You know what? I've met with over 100 startups in this region.
Okay, which is a lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
I've met with 100 startups since I, exited Fetchr.
And here's the proof.
What's really amazing to me is that, their decks and how to set up their decks for pitching are really off. Mm-hmm. They don't know how to pitch. They've got like 85 slides, right?
Glamorous.
The market share is 6 million. The market is $6 billion and we're going to do it. Like, okay. Like,
I just had this conversation yesterday. That's
yeah. You're like, all right, that's really great. 8 slides. Come back to me with 8 slides because if you're seed, there is no, the seed funding is, of course, the idea has to be interesting, but the seed funding is you. It's all about you. It's how you pitch, how you present yourself. If you're confident, again, that goes back to the beginning of our conversation, which is this full cycle of energy. They believe in you because if you're positive about it and you feel, that, people are not going to knock you, like we talked about in the beginning, then they know that they can bet on you.
Yes.
Because it's a bet. And most startups fail.
So if you were to take us to your first pitch, do you remember? Mm-hmm. Was it good?
Yes, I do. Was my first pitch good?
Or what were the areas that were good, awful? Could you improve on it?
It was terrible.
Okay.
Because I didn't know. But then I did my homework.
Okay, so what were the things that made it wrong? So this could perhaps be I
overcomplicated it.
85 slides.
85 slies. 85 graphs. And literally, if you're
we laugh, but it's a reality, man.
You got 85 graphs, and you're sitting there, and the VCs are literally like,
Yeah, they're out, man.
Guys, they're listening to 1,000 pitches a year.
Yeah.
Okay? You got to ask yourself, you got 2 minutes.
If that.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
2 minutes to grab their attention. If you don't tell your story and your value proposition in 2 minutes, you're done.
Yeah.
2 minutes. And you want to know what it is? 2 minutes. So I tell the 100 entrepreneurs that I have met with, I'm like, here I am. You got 2 minutes to tell me what you're Sell me, or you got 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that in the beginning, in the first 2 seconds that you grab them, you're done. You're done.
And so what would be some tips? If someone's looking at this and they're going, you know what? I actually have a pitch deck. Mm-hmm. It is 85 slides and I need to bring it down.
Yeah.
What tips would you give
Depends
someone
on where you're
watching
at.
or listening?
Are you in Series C? Are you in A?
So let's start at the beginning. They're perhaps at the idea stage and they want that pre-seed or seed funding.
Okay. Seed is tough.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Yeah. So seed is usually something you have to get from your friends and family.
Okay.
Okay, because the days of getting $1 million in funding on an idea is tough. Although I did it with my first company.
Yes.
Bond Fair. I raised my Series A with $2.5 million in seed funding with no product. Unheard of. Nobody gives you $2.5 million unless you have proof of concept. I went straight from the investors loved the idea so much they went from C to an A. They said, you know what, we don't need to give you C.
What was your pitch? I mean, how did you get them?
Again,
apart from energy? Or was it really just?
I sold them on the vision. You have to sell the entrepreneurs on the vision. They have to feel it. They got to see it. They got to envision it. They got to believe in it, and they got to believe in you. And that's you.
Do you remember what you said?
Yeah,
because that would be interesting. Because one of the things that when I'm working with clients who come to me, it's very financial oriented. It's very graph oriented. I'm like, where's the picture? Where's the image? Give me something. Give me that stickiness. I don't see what you see.
Exactly.
Paint me a picture.
Because they overthink it.
Yeah.
You got to go simplify your pitch.
Yes.
And you got to simplify it into very simple. What's the dream? Sell me the dream, babe. Sell me the dream.
I'm curious, what did he say to get 2.5 million? That's a lot. I mean,
On
that's
seed
a lot.
without a product?
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Like nothing. You at that point
Nothing,
you
had
weren't
nothing.
the lady who had raised 93 million.
No, I had nothing.
Right? You
An
didn't
idea.
have the track record.
I sold them on the vision. I sold them on the dream of what we're going to accomplish and what I can accomplish. And they believed in it. And that's really the magic sauce. Now, let me just tell you that it's unheard of to go for seed and no product and get 2.5 million. Honestly, it's unheard of. You can't just go to somebody and say, I have an idea. I have nothing. No app, no website, no nothing.
Yes.
And
Now
give
you
me
gotta
2.5.
have an MVP.
No,
You
so
gotta
you
show
can't,
something. Yeah.
you can't go by that.
Right.
So, but imagine the power that came through in the pitch to get 2.5 million is that I sold them on the vision. And I did my homework, right? So
And would that be so?
this
would that be
is
the tip,
important.
right?
This
Yeah.
is important. So every VC firm has things that they invest in, whether it's fintech,
Yes.
whether it's
Biomed,
product,
yeah.
whether it's biomedical. So don't go waste your time pitching a VC that is not in your field. You need to do your homework and look to see if they're in your field, and then pitch them and see who else they invested in. Like,
Yes.
I invested in somebody who is an understanding of e-commerce and is in that space, right? So when I pitch them, they're in the space. I don't have to go through the whole explanation. Like, you don't go to somebody who's in fintech and pitch them a product, jewelry, because they're going to look at you and be like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
So do your homework as an entrepreneur. Find out what space they invest in and who else they invested in, and then go target them because they will understand your space. And that's really important.
Yes.
Where entrepreneurs just pitch people that are not in their space. It's a waste of your time.
So I guess the tip would be cut your 85 slides to 8.
Yep.
Do your homework.
Yep.
Approach VCs
That are in your space.
that are in your space because it just makes it easier. They get it.
Absolutely.
So you won't even have to, you don't have to go through that explanation phase. You can focus on the third point, which is sell them the vision.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
That's awesome.
Fair?
What about the next stage? So perhaps we can go through the different stages and get some tips from you.
Okay.
So, they're pitching. Hopefully they get some seed money. Then the next stage. When is the next stage? If, say, two co-founders are running a business,
Yep.
they've got traction.
Yep.
I've heard different thoughts from different folks around the world where they say that there comes a certain point in time where you go for funding.
Yeah.
So perhaps to get your thoughts on when is that time to go for more funding? How much funding? Because sometimes there's too much funding. Or is there such thing? Like, what do you subscribe to?
So let me tell you, the best companies are the ones that get one round of funding and then never raise any money again. Because you got to remember, every time you raise money, you give up anywhere from 20 to 25 to 30% of your company. Okay? So the goal is to get to profitability as quickly as possible where you don't need money. Just remember, raising money is not, it's sexy in the media.
That's what it is. That's what it is,
Ooh, raised $100 million. Ooh,
It's
raised
become a
$100 million.
trend thing where everyone wants to do it.
Yeah, but guess what? Dilution, 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 dilution. So what happens is that all the shares that you've acquired are going to the investors. So basically you're dwindling yourself to a job. That's what you're doing. Unless you exit with a huge valuation in a unicorn. But how many of those are there?
That's right.
So just remember, the more money you raise, it looks sexy in the press, but is not sexy for your balance sheet. So how do you look for money? Entrepreneurs are always looking for money. But, you got to ask yourself, before you start a company, who's going to buy you? What's your exit strategy? I tell all entrepreneurs this. They come to me with these ideas. And I literally sit there and I'm like, I'm a VC. I want to make money. How am I going to make money with your idea? Who's going to buy you? So you have to think like a venture capitalist. They're giving you money to make money, right? So you have to have a business that's going to make money. I'm not giving you money because I just want to spread my money around.
That's right.
I need an exit.
Show me how.
As an
make
entrepreneur,
money,
as a VC, I want to exit. That means only two things, right? Acquisition or IPO.
That's right.
Okay. So you got to ask yourself, how many IPOs are in this region? Not many. Actually, very little. So the next question is, who's going to buy you? So when I meet with these entrepreneurs, I ask them, who's going to buy you? And they don't even think about that. And I'm like, if I'm giving you money, I want to make money. How am I going to make money? So you really have to do your pitch deck. Like, I'm building this company, and guess what? It's like this company, and that company was acquired for $700 million. So you have to show, not focused on the exit, because venture capitalists want to invest in people who are passionate, not about making money, but more about changing the world.
That's right.
Right? So you got to ask yourself, you got to put in your pitch the sexy for these VCs to make money.
Absolutely.
Okay? You can't be like, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to sell toothpicks. Okay, great. You're going to sell toothpicks, but how are you going to make money?
That's right.
Right?
It's having that thing of saying, we're in California and the flight and the destination is Dubai.
Yeah.
Like having that clarity of,
Yeah.
this is where it's going to be. Well, that's the aim.
In this region of the world, it's acquisition. Right? Kareem, Souk, acquisition. So they made themselves indispensable for Amazon and for Uber, right? So you got to ask yourself, who's going to buy you?
That's right.
So that's an important thing.
It's funny you say this because about a month ago I was coaching one of my clients and he owns a large business conglomerate. I can't even say the word.
Conglomerate.
That's the one. Thank you.
The American word.
And he was talking about a couple of his friends who exited from a business successfully.
In the States?
In this region.
Okay.
In this region. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention the name, so I'm not going to mention it, but they exited and they made a good amount of money out of it.
Were they a startup?
They were a startup,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. And he goes, the whole idea, the reason they're successful and their competitors are not successful and won't be able to exit is because these guys started the business with the exit plan in mind.
Exactly.
They knew that they were going to be acquired by exactly the company that ended up acquiring them.
Exactly. And that's what I tell my you need to be a thorn in someone's side. Uber was a thorn. I mean, Kareem was a thorn in Uber's side.
Yeah,
right?
Take them up.
Because they created something in their app. And I'm a huge fan of Mudassir, by the way. I adore Mudassir. He's a really good man. He created, and I actually, when I saw him, I shook his hand. I said, you beat Uber at their own game, because what he did was he created something in the app that Uber didn't think of, which is he spoke the language of this region by creating a cash on delivery. Right? Cash on delivery was something that was not available in this region. So he knew that he could capture the market share with this, and he put it. And he did something even more remarkable. He forced Uber to put the same product in their app to compete. And by doing that, he was able to grab the market share. So, but he knew in his gut. I mean, he won't say it, but he knew in his gut that Uber was going to buy him.
Sure.
And he made himself a thorn in their side. So you need to think like that.
This is valuable, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that's the magic sauce as well.
Entrepreneurs looking at this, watching this video, listening to the podcast, whether they have an up and running business or they're looking at starting up a business. There is a myth, perhaps some people might have. I think it's a myth. Would like to get your thoughts. Is there enough money to go around?
Oh, yeah. There's actually too much money and not enough ideas.
I mean, I personally think there's money waiting to be parked.
There has never been a better time to be an entrepreneur, because there is so much money to be given to startups.
But you need to know how to.
You need to know how to pitch. But actually, I've seen a lot of startups getting tons of money that have business ideas that are ridiculous, and they're getting funding. So I don't want to say that it's a good time, but yeah, it's a good time. Even if you don't have a good idea, it's a really good time, because the money and the valuations that they're giving today are unbelievable.
But if you want to do this properly, so say, for example, we're in business.
Yeah.
We're at a point where we're going, okay, if we're going to do one round of funding, how do you establish how much you need? Like, what are you taking into account in terms of runway?
Well, you got to put together a business plan, and you got to understand what's it going to take to get to the next step, because you're going to run out of money. Because most startups are not profitable for 5 years.
Okay.
So you got to really put into your mind, what are the numbers that you need to hit to make it sexy for the investors to come back in and see the growth potential? If you don't hit those numbers, then what's going to happen is you'll get your first round of funding, but you'll never get your second round of funding, because the investors want to see that you're onto something. So you need to have clear objectives as to how much money you need to raise to get to the point to raise another round of funding.
So when you did 2.5 many years ago with the first e-commerce business.
We got acquired before we even did a second round. Also unheard of.
Yeah. How did you establish 2.5? Like, why not 1.5? What were the factors you took into account? 3 years of work?
We sat down and we talked about what we're going to need. And actually, it was a lot less.
Okay.
Okay. They just took it to an A. But the more money you get, the higher the stakes.
Yes.
Because then you have to hit numbers that the VCs are going to want to put money back in the game.
And this is something people don't realize. They just think, oh, it's about getting funded. But with that funding comes a burden.
Yeah, because again, you still have to show that you're onto something. You have to show that the hockey stick. I love the hockey stick.
Yes.
Have you heard about the hockey stick? Yeah. You need the hockey stick. If you don't show that you're increasing month on month, okay, because what the investors want to see is, okay, we gave you this much money and you accomplished this. Now, if we give you this much money, what else can you accomplish?
That's
What
right.
markets can you enter? What else can you do with more money? Because if this is what you got with this amount of money, how much more are you going to get with this
Let's
amount?
scale it, right?
Yeah. So that's got to be in your brain when you're raising money. How much money do you need to get to the second round of funding? Because you're going to run out. So you really have to do your homework. How many people do we need to hire? What country do we need to be in? How much sales do we have to do? How much marketing do we have to spend? You have to put down a realistic business plan.
And then time frame, you're looking at 3 to 5 years.
No, when you're a startup, you got to raise another round in a year.
Okay. So
Yeah, a year. The money depends how much money you raise or how much money, but unless you get to profitability and you don't need money. There are companies that have done that, raised $10 million and never a dollar again, and then IPO'd for $1 billion. Those are the wins. Those are the huge wins. But those are rare because if you want to expand into the markets in the Middle East, you're going to need money. It's unrealistic to say that one round of funding is going to do it.
right.
Yeah.
What are you looking for?
Again, every time you see these press releases that are like 60, 70, don't get excited. Just remember, the founders are losing a little piece of their company every time money gets raised. What you want to hear is they raised one round and never again. That's out of the ballpark. That's when you hit the ball right out of the ballpark.
And in order to set yourself up for success, what would be some measures? If you're because you consult, fashion startups and
I do. I mean, the measure is to put your business plan in place and make sure that you get yourself a lot of money, not a lot of money, but what money you need to hit it and then go over.
Right.
Because no matter what you put on the business plan, it's going to always cost you more money. Because you can hire someone, they don't work out, you have to let them go.
Right.
And that's an expensive proposition in this region of the world because of visa costs and the fees. So you really need to really think about what you need and then add more money.
Right. Worst case scenario, even more.
Yeah. There's a saying with startups that get the money when you can get the money. Because sometimes the climate or the political climates...
You might have a crisis, right?
You might have a crisis. Yeah. So there's a saying that says, get the money when you can. There is definitely a saying. And, the entrepreneur saying is execute, execute, execute. We all say that as entrepreneurs.
Right.
The 3 executions. You've got to execute, execute, execute.
Yeah. What are you looking for as someone who I'm sure gets pitched left, right, and center?
I do.
What makes you say no, and what makes you say, I want to think over this?
Great question. Great question. Founders, the expertise that the founders have. I love founders who are in that region, worked in that region, and then see a problem.
Okay.
And they have a solution. I go nuts when I see a problem and a solution because to me, that is sexy.
So not just a random person who goes, this is a great idea.
No.
Someone in the field playing the game.
Saw a problem.
Okay.
And they have a solution. Boy, is that sexy. Because then they're disruptive.
Yes.
Then they're they're solving a problem.
And they have that experience to drive it forward, right?
Yeah, and VCs love to see solutions for problems. They love it because it's an opportunity, like fintech, right?
That's right.
So that's the sexy. Worked in the industry, see a solution, and of course a tech play. I love startups that have no human capital.
Okay.
The more people you have to hire and the more people you have to manage, the more I'm out. If I see a business that I got to hire 100 people and I got to hire more people, managing people is a very tough game. It's a very hard game. So any businesses that are high human capital, to me, it's very unattractive. And any businesses that require a lot of money in marketing, so it's a pay-to-play game, is very tough as well.
So what would be the other option? I get the human aspect. You want it to be more tech play.
More of a tech play.
And when it comes to marketing, how would it be otherwise if you're not spending on marketing?
And expansion. How to enter a new region without a lot of capex.
Okay.
So if you got to spend tons of money to enter into another country, then that's scary to investors because then there's a huge capital, right? If you got to spend a lot of money in marketing, that's also scary because that means it's a pay-to-play game. Meaning, I give you $100, I'll get $100 worth of business. You do $100 in marketing, you get $100 worth of business.
So what would be the other play if it's not a marketing play?
You have to figure out how to do a marketing. Like there are companies that, for example, Glossier, right? You know Glossier? Have you heard of Glossier?
Them, yeah.
They reached $1 billion valuation. She had 1 million followers, right? And she wanted to sell them makeup. So she went to the investors, and of course, all the men said no, because men don't understand
Of course,
product.
we just don't get it, do we?
No, men don't get product. She went to all the men VCs, and they were like, "You're going to sell makeup to your followers? I'm out. I'm out." You know, like Shark Tank? Because of that, I'm out. You know the Shark Tank model?
Absolutely, yeah.
So she went to a woman, and she said, "You got 1 million followers."
Boom.
Of course I'm going to give you some money. I would have given her money as well.
Yeah.
And
I would have given you money too.
well, because she doesn't have to spend money on marketing. Yeah. She's got an audience of 1 million people, right?
It's what Kylie Jenner did pretty much, right?
Yeah.
Single-handedly
Yeah, but all the men VCs passed. And men VCs are not product. And product is a hot thing right now. Product is booming. You saw what they did with Dollar Shave Club, right?
That's right, yes.
All the men passed on that too, right? I believe he sold his company to Unilever for $1 billion, right? But, men don't get product, right? Because they don't shop, really. Guys don't shop. Women are the ones most women, right? Depends on the guy. I don't want to put everything.
I guess if you're a male VC, you should have some female friends.
Women VCs nowadays are actually hitting it out of the ballpark.
I'm sure they are.
And they are
because they get it.
There are hardcore stats that show that women VCs are actually, I think the numbers are 35% of the last 20 unicorns were passed. 35% of those unicorns were passed by men VCs and taken on by women. So the women VCs are definitely bringing back more return.
You've got your thing, whether it's human capital or tech, whether it's a marketing play or the following. Now, what if when they're asking you or you're interested and they're asking you for the fund, kind of like the Shark Tank, where they're going, I want $100,000 for 10% of the company.
Yeah.
How do you work out the numbers that this makes sense or you're asking for too much? Like what do you look for in terms of the stats, a cap table?
Well, I mean, look, I've invested in startups on my own.
Okay.
In seed funding.
Yes.
And they've been really good, really successful. Products. I've invested in products. I look at the founders to see how they're going to sell without money.
Okay.
So I look and say, how are you going to sell this product without marketing dollars? And if they have a marketing plan that doesn't include digital marketing, like if I hear we're going to do digital marketing, I'm like, I'm out. Like a Shark Tank?
Yes.
Because of that, I'm out. If you need to take my money to get customers in a digital marketing play, I'm out.
Not your thing, yeah.
Right? Because that's not gonna, that's a pay to play game.
Sure. But if you're going, okay, I like this business, I'm going to invest in it. What's the kind of, do you have
cap table, you mean?
Yes. Are you playing a certain game where you go, I'll put 50 to 100 and in return, I expect a minimum of 25%?
Well, I mean, I'm not a VC.
Yes.
I'm an entrepreneur.
Sure.
So, but what I have done in my personal investments are I look at the team.
Okay.
And I see that they have a way to sell the product as fast as possible without tons of marketing dollars. And that's sexy to me. So I put my money in. Yeah. Like the Glossier model. She's got 1 million followers.
Boom, works.
I would give her my money. I don't really I look at her and I would look at her followers and I would say that's a good bet.
Get inspired.
Imagine if you could present yourself, your thoughts, and your ideas with clarity and confidence. Imagine if you could speak to influence and impact. Imagine if you could communicate like a commanding and charismatic leader. Well, you can, given the right information and the investment of effort from your end. How do I know that? As a public speaking coach, I work with CEOs, world leaders, and presidents. And when they hire me, they expect nothing short of results. And over the years, it's been 2 decades now, 2 challenges have risen for me being unable to help the majority of people. I'm usually on a plane, with the majority of my time being booked a good year or 2 in advance. And my one-on-one session to work with someone in person generally starts at $20,000. So we solved the problem by making my public speaking course available for you online. Everything that I teach my clients when I'm working one-on-one, thoughts, tips, strategies, how to do things, all on video, all sequenced in the right order for you to be able to watch, rewatch, practice, and refine your presentation, your speaking, and your overall communication skills. And guess what? You will get results. Now, you can have this course not for the $20,000 that my clients pay me when we work one-on-one. You can have it for $997. That's right, just $997. You might be thinking, well, why are you offering something that you charge $20,000 for $997? It's simple, because those who want to work with me one-on-one will still hire me. But for many whom I might be out of their budget, this is a great way to develop their communication skills, to cut through the noise, to rise above the rest, and to beat their competition. If you're serious about wanting to develop your skills, to be able to present your thoughts, your ideas, and yourself with clarity and confidence, to be able to speak, to influence and impact, and to communicate like a confident and charismatic leader, then this course is for you. Go on to kevinabdulrahman.org/course and get started today. Yeah. And for you, do you have a framework of saying, I'd like to have 10%, I'd like to have 5%? Do you have a minimum that you play with?
When you invest in seed, you don't get a percentage of the company, right? You get a convertible note,
yes,
which gives you a percentage in the company when somebody actually raises a Series A.
Yes.
So you never get equity for seed.
Sure.
Right? You get a safe. They call it now a safe. There's a new product out there now with, I don't know if you guys are aware of it, it's called a safe.
No, I was aware of the convertible note.
Yeah, it's basically a convertible note, except with the convertible note, you need to get a lot of lawyers involved.
Okay.
With a safe, it's an easy way to invest money without 1,000 lawyers, but it's the same principle.
The name gives it away. Pretty good wordplay, I guess.
It's called a safe. It's a tool that they use in Silicon Valley, and they use it here as well for some good lawyers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I'm looking at what if now, for example, someone that's watching or listening is looking, they go, I have money.
Yeah.
Whether it's $10,000, $100,000, or $1 million.
Yeah.
And I'd like to invest it. Joy, help me. Help take my money. No, but what would you say is the right way of investing it?
I believe you need to find a VC that has knowledge in how to invest, right? Just because you call yourself a venture capitalist doesn't mean you're a venture capitalist. Right. It just means that you took money and I think you need to look at a venture capitalist who's almost like a business partner. You need to look at a VC and say, how are you going to help me? Because VCs are supposed to help you. Yes. And the best VCs, by the way, the best VCs in Silicon Valley are ex-entrepreneurs. 100%.
Yeah.
Because they've been on the other side of the table. They understand. They get it. They get it. So without a fact, in Silicon Valley, the best venture capitalists are ex-entrepreneurs. They know the game on the other side of the table. And they're able to give you value add, right? They're able to really help you. So a lot of venture capitalists will say to you, oh, we're going to help you. We're going to help you. We're going to introduce you. They never do.
Yes.
So venture capitalists should be your partner in helping you scale this business. They should be somebody who helps you also by introducing you to other venture capitalists to raise money. They're there to help you. And I think that's something that's missing in this region of the world, that the VCs have money, but they give you no value. So I would look for a venture capitalist who's an ex-entrepreneur. And I would look for somebody that has like a marriage, a relationship that you trust them. And they're going to be able to help you.
Kind of like the co-founder, I guess.
It's like a co-founder. VC should be like your third co-founder. Yeah, it really should. Not just give you money, but what can they do to help you? And again, it's a connection. It's a relationship.
That's true. Yeah. It comes down to what we said with energy as well.
Yeah, the energy.
You got to know, you got to have it. Without a doubt, marketing has played an integral part to your success.
Yes.
How did you develop that marketing skill?
Okay.
Have you got tips?
Yeah.
That, people
Yeah.
can benefit from it? Because
Yeah.
you can have a great product, you can have a great service, but if no one knows about it, kind of like a
You want
pizza
the
shop.
magic? You want the magic to
Give
my
us the
sauce?
magic.
You want the magic? You're just taking all my trade secrets today. So the magic in marketing is very simple. Are you somebody that can create an emotion around your brand? Great brands don't sell their brand.
That's a joy effect, isn't it?
It's the joy effect. Great brands sell an emotion.
Yes.
So I say this whenever I speak. Nike doesn't sell sneakers. If you ever see the Nike ads, they never talk about their laces or their rubber. They talk about what it feels like when you finish the finish line.
Yeah.
They talk about the emotion.
Yes.
And they sell their product on emotion. Even Starbucks, right? Starbucks is not, coffee is dull. How do you market coffee? It's a freaking cup of coffee. What they market is loneliness. Like you can come into Starbucks with your laptop, be all by yourself, hold the cup of coffee that has your name on it. They cleverly did that. And you feel that you're connected to this family, this club, where you could sit there by yourself and you're not alone because you belong to family, the Starbucks family. So
And now it's cool.
And now it's cool. So it's an emotion. So you got to look at your product and you got to ask yourself, what emotion are you selling? Right? And then you got to gear in on selling that emotion. That's marketing. And the interesting part is that connecting to people's hearts is something most of us don't do because we don't connect to people's hearts.
We're constantly going, this is the logical way of doing it.
It's not only just logic, but how many people have a heart-head connection? I mean, if you want to know the magic to why Joy was able to make my last company a household name, it's because I was able to connect to people's hearts and make them feel connected to the brand. It's kind of the same energy as when you go into a room and you meet 50 people and they shake your hand and you leave, right? And you get all these business cards, but are you connected to them?
No, absolutely
Zero.
not.
Absolutely. You're like, hey, nice to meet you. Great meeting you. And you walk out the room. But if somebody hands you a card and looks at you and says, oh my God, you did this event on Friday and I listened to you on stage. And you know what? It really made a difference in my life because I went out and I implemented it. And you look that person in the eye, you've created a connection on an emotional, on a human level. And now you're never going to forget that person because they connected to you on an emotional level. And marketing is the same way.
And so how did you do it? I guess that's why the show is called How Did They Do It?
I did it at Fetchr because we had a tagline. And the tagline is, we deliver happiness. So I wanted people to feel that when you saw a Fetchr driver, you felt happy because you were getting a package. So I focused in on the emotion.
I'm glad you found me.
I focus in on the emotion of what it feels like to get something you've been waiting for. What does it feel like to get that package? And I focused in on that emotion. And that's how I geared my whole marketing. I geared into humor.
Yeah.
I wanted to make people happy.
The reason I'm asking is because, let's say, for example, I suck at marketing, but I believe in what you're saying and I want to be able to do this. So I guess I'm asking, like, how do I go, okay, I know the importance of now marketing.
Marketing is extremely important.
Yes. And the importance of emotional marketing. So what steps do I need to take?
Got to find the right person to do it.
Right.
And that is very tough.
Yeah.
How many people are connected to their heads and their hearts?
Yeah, very few. It's because it's a level of awareness, right?
But that's
the cream at the top.
That's what I did. I connected my heart and my head to market a brand, to connect to people's emotions, to make them feel connected to the brand. And then today, marketing is all about connection to a brand.
Yes. And what it sounds to me like what you said with the networking events, because I've used this actually in my talks where I've told people you can go out and be a ninja and throw your cards.
Doesn't do
sometimes
anything.
you receive 50 or 100 cards.
Doesn't do anything.
You're like, who the hell is this?
No.
But if you take the moment to actually shake someone's hand, look them in the eye and have a conversation, that 10 or 15 seconds.
But connect to them on something personal.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And so I feel, from what I understand, I feel like what you're talking about is actually ground and, foot on the ground, hard work of actually going on a one-on-one level.
Yes.
With people. And then you build it from there.
Yes. It's storytelling.
Yes.
Marketing is all about storytelling, right? I mean, we're built on that now, this generation with Instagram and all these things. It's all storytelling.
That's the only way you cut through.
It's the only way. So to me, how do you tell the story where you connect to your audience and make them feel connected to your brand? That's the magic sauce in marketing.
Storytelling. How did you develop that skill? Because the great thing about...
storytelling is tough. It's tough.
Because when I think about it, I sucked 20 years ago.
That's why the unicorns in this business are CTO and CMO.
Okay.
You've heard that before, right? Finding a chief technology officer is a unicorn because it's very hard to get. And the second hardest thing to get is a chief marketing officer.
Right.
Because just because you get somebody from a big company doesn't mean that they're going to help you in your marketing efforts, because big companies are play to pay. Like if you're working for Unilever, they give you a $2 million budget every week to spend on digital marketing. Well, if you're a startup and you don't have a $2 million budget, which you won't, how are you going to connect to your audience? So it doesn't mean that because you come from a big company like Unilever or one of these big guys and you're a marketing director there, that you're going to be able to use those skills to help you in a startup.
You're right.
Because they're very different objectives. And the other one has deep pockets to spend and the one doesn't. Right?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm giving you a lot of information.
Which is great. Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Again, finding good people is very tough.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you want to know the hardest thing in this region to find is good people.
Yes. And the key is, I guess, one of the things we want to do is for people to realize if it's not there, you can develop that skill.
No.
Don't you feel that?
No. You can't develop a skill. You can't make me shy.
Okay.
That's
more of an attitude.
No, it's not an attitude. It's a skill set.
Okay.
You can't train people to have a skill set. You can train them to do something that's mechanical, but skill is something that is a natural born thing. Salesman, for example, you can't train a salesman. Sales is something that's either in you or it's not. So it's really important that you find somebody that fits the skill set because it's inherent.
Yes. Interesting. I mean, when I've been thinking about it for the last couple of years, and I realized my play of strength has been in terms of consulting or the ideas person, but I'm not an executioner of the idea.
But that's okay.
And it took me a while to actually realize it, because at first I thought, just because I have the idea, I'm able to execute it.
No, that's okay.
But
That's
it's not
great,
the truth.
because guess what? There are a lot of people out there who can execute it but don't have your skill set.
Exactly.
So this is why you need to find a partner who complements what you bring to the table.
And it requires a level of awareness, since you mentioned it. That head-to-heart awareness.
Yeah.
It required, it's taken me 37 years or 39 years now to realize that, hey, only because you have a great idea, you need to give that idea to someone who's good at executing.
Partnership. It's like I said earlier, finding somebody who has an opposite skill set than you. Right? And that's what I did with my first company. My partner had completely opposite skill sets of me. And it worked beautifully. We got along amazingly well.
Get inspired.
You know this by now, that we are the #1 YouTube show / podcast that's coming out of the Middle East from Dubai. If you like the idea of having your brand reach at least 1 million eyeballs per episode, then feel free to reach out to my office on kevinabdulrahman.org. Without further delay, let's continue this great conversation. Because I mentioned self-awareness, I'd like to touch on failure. What's been a favorite failure where you've learned a lot out of, or got a lot out of? Whatever you'd like to share.
Personal or work-wise?
Whatever you like. You can take it in any direction.
So I have
Maybe a favorite failure.
I have a terrible ability of being insanely loyal, and I trust people.
Okay.
That goes with the purity of heart that I have, right? I think I have learned to not trust people as much as I do. I need to not trust people because I'm so in my heart that if you come to me, I do anything for anyone.
Okay.
That's my DNA. And I trust people too much. And I think in business, you have to be more aware. I tell this to entrepreneurs all the time. You need to find a very good lawyer. And you need to set yourself up. This is extremely important.
Pre-setup.
It is so important. I've had a lot of entrepreneurs come to me who have been hurt by venture capitalists because they actually set up their legal in a way to hurt them. So the #1 thing I can say to entrepreneurs is that hiring a good lawyer is expensive in the beginning, and a lot of entrepreneurs pass on it. But it is the most important thing to protect yourself. Do not trust your partner, or anyone, you must have your own lawyer, not the company's lawyer, okay? For anybody who's seen the Facebook movie, okay?
That's
You've
right,
seen that?
yes, yeah.
It is very important to have your own lawyer, not the company's lawyer, separate, and to set up your legal correctly. It's going to be expensive, but it's every penny worth it. Because when it comes to business, there is a certain level of trust that you cannot have. Because the more you raise money, the less and less the company is yours. And you need to set it up accordingly. That is the most powerful thing I can tell every entrepreneur out there. Spend the money on your own legal counsel.
And it's good advice, and,
and-
it's to do
and
it
I have a
at the-
great
at the
lawyer
start.
here, if anybody
I was going to
needs a
say
good
this could
lawyer.
be a great insert for sponsorship. This is brought to you by XYZ Law Firm.
Actually, I have a great law firm. That's amazing. Very important.
Yes.
I can't tell you how many startups have come to me and been destroyed by venture capitalists.
And the key is to be able to do this at the beginning, whereas like you mentioned,
In the beginning.
it's something that you want to put away, or because you're tight on funds, you don't think it's a priority.
It's the most important thing. Spend the money on legal. Spend the money on legal in the beginning. Set yourself up. Otherwise, you're going to be hurt. So don't trust. Let your lawyers do that.
Have you ever made a decision and then realized that, you made it could have been a strategy to execute, it could have been, a personal decision, where once you made it and once you got into it, you realize, hey, this was the wrong decision and you had to pivot. Can you give us an example? Because the outside, it seems like you don't make wrong decisions.
No, I make decisions, make bad decisions all the time. The important thing about a bad decision is change it fast. And this is something I talk about, the difference between men and women, right? Men and women are very different. Women, when they I'm sorry, I don't mean to, do the divide of the sexes, but it's very true. Women make decisions pretty quickly, where men don't like to make decisions. They like to kind of, God, that sounds terrible, but it's true. They kind of like to avoid conflict, right? I'm not that type of person. If it isn't working, I change it and I change fast. That's a very important thing in startups. If it ain't working, change it fast.
Because you see people
firing people
or games, in terms of entrepreneurs who are playing the game and they're stuck in that whole sunken cost fallacy.
No.
Just because we've spent $1 million here, we should stay on.
No, big mistake. I fire people that don't work immediately.
Okay.
I'm known for that.
And that's based on results?
Absolutely. If something isn't working, it ain't going to change. And you have to understand that, there are people who have philosophy. Well, I'll train them. No. You don't have time. Remember, you're building an airplane while it's on the way down?
Yeah.
You don't have time to train.
You're falling off a cliff.
You're falling off a cliff. If an employee isn't working, I don't care what the cost is, you have to change them. If an idea isn't working, you have to change it and change it fast.
Right.
And I think that's where women entrepreneurs have a better advantage, because women are like, this isn't working, let's go. Where men are like, well, I don't want to make a hard decision. They avoid conflict. So they just let it go. Big problem. Big problem. So, I don't have an example that I can speak of per se, but I can tell you that part of startup life is, if it ain't working, change it fast.
When you were working at Fetchr, you had built the team to over 5,000 people. What was your recruiting process? Like, what were you looking for in people? Like, what would you say? Go, oh yeah, cool, you jump on the team.
Well, I ask referrals.
Okay.
I ask for referrals. I ask people because, I believe in stealing people. I don't believe in hiring people.
Okay.
So I ask, like, who's good at this? Then, oh, this one's really good. And then I go and I get them. But gut instinct is a big one.
Okay.
You gotta look at the person and feel, again, it's like a marriage. Your gut, you gotta go by your gut.
But do you ask a few filtering questions?
Resume is not always an indicator.
Yes.
I don't care if they have a resume that's 40 pages. It doesn't mean anything to me.
It's almost never an indicator.
No, some of my best work. I remember I hired a girl once. We needed someone quickly, and she came in, and I was sitting there, and I said, why are you here? She's like, it's spring break. And I'm like, it's spring break? She goes, oh, I already have a job. I just wanted to make extra money. And I just looked at her and I go, you already have a job? You're not here on She goes, no, it was vacation. I had nowhere to go. I wanted to make extra money. I wanted to learn. I immediately was like, I need to hire you. And I did. And she was one of my best employees because she had the will and the determination. And to me, that's powerful.
Yeah.
she became one of my top employees.
Do you have any more questions like that? Questions that help, you quickly filter?
No, it's about hunger.
Okay.
It's about drive to succeed. It's about willingness to show up. I say this all the time. 90% of everything that's happened to me in my life is I just show up. I tell people that all the time. Just show up, man.
Yeah.
When you show up,
it's amazing how many things
everything happens. It's really amazing. It's magic.
But we live in an era, this day and age, of overconfidence. With the kind of generations or what have you, there will be a lot of people that come to the table and say, I can do this, I want it. So they will exhibit hunger. They will exhibit I will do whatever it takes, but it's all talk.
I ask. Yeah. I do my due diligence. I ask people, who'd you work for? And then I do my due diligence. I never turn away from somebody who says, oh, they're outspoken, they're aggressive. I love that. I look at that as a positive thing, where I think in the Middle East, people look at it as a negative thing. They're aggressive, they want to get things done, they're pushy. I'm like,
oh no.
Oh, I don't want that. No, I look at it like,
things to get done.
I look at it like, oh yeah, I need to hire that person on the spot, because that's a doer.
Okay.
You want a doer.
What's that fine line of aggressive doer and aggressive not so good?
Results.
Okay.
Look at what they've done in the past.
There are some people that achieve results, but by burning bridges.
You're going to burn bridges. You got to understand something. Okay. Again, it goes back to the first thing. It's not a popularity contest.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's Steve Jobs saying, if you want to be popular as a leader, sell ice cream. Don't be a leader.
That's exactly right. Yeah. If you want to be, I don't care about being popular. I care about getting results for my investors. I care about growing the company for the VCs who put money in my company. I need to hit that target. I'm not here for you to like me, right? At the same time, being a leader is not a popularity contest. If you don't fire people, who's heard of a founder who hasn't fired people? There's a problem there. Who's heard of a founder that everybody loves him? There's a problem there. Making decisions are going to upset someone.
Absolutely. Whatever you decide.
Whatever you decide someone is going to be pissed off.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you look to be popular, then go home. Go home. And with that being said, I'm not talking about being mean and ruthless. No. I'm talking about making decisions that don't benefit somebody is going to cause someone to say something negative about you. Period. Period. Even if you fire someone, that person's going to leave and be like, that person was unfair to me and they're abrasive and they wanted me out of the hard decisions come with back talk. That's life.
And as a leader, we've done quite a few conversations, but I had a friend of mine who's a CEO of a large organization. Yeah. And the first thing he did as CEO was something that made him extremely unpopular, and that was to reduce cost.
Yeah, of course.
At a time when things were going great. So everyone in his team is going, well, why? Things are going good. Yeah. And for him, his reasoning was, because I know that at some point we're going to hit tough times, and I want to make sure that we don't fire anyone, we can still be lean now.
He wasn't very popular, was he?
He wasn't popular until it was a time of crisis.
And then he was prepared.
He was prepared. He was, everyone loved him. And for the fact that everyone were able to actually stay on because they reduced their cost by 35% when times were good.
That's life.
Work-life balance. Is it real? Does it exist? Advice on it for people who are perhaps seeking work-life balance. Is it a myth?
God bless all the entrepreneurs that have a husband and children. It is very difficult to have a work-life balance. It is very difficult, especially if your startup is explosive and you're growing at fast buckets like we did. It leads to not paying enough attention to your children, not paying enough attention to your spouse. A lot of entrepreneurs lead to divorce. Divorce is something that's very strong that happens. It's tough.
I guess it's a question perhaps you have to ask yourself, am I willing to make the sacrifice? That level of awareness.
Yeah, that's why, they give entrepreneurs, when they're young, when they're 22, 25, 30, because at that point they have all the time to dedicate. But it is, everyone talks about this life balance. I didn't have it. I worked 12 hours a day for 6 years, relentlessly. I was the first one in the office and the last one to leave. So I didn't have much of a balance, to be honest with you.
So lesson is, if you want to be an entrepreneur, there is no work-life balance.
No, you kiss your personal life goodbye. Yeah.
And I guess the ones who have been successful and still kept their marriage was they had this conversation and clarity at the start of it, perhaps.
It's tough.
With their partner.
Yeah, but
because you need to establish that level of understanding, which, I mean, it's still tough, but.
It's tough.
To be able to communicate, it helps.
It's tough. It was easier for me. I'm not married. So I didn't have to answer to a husband or children, which made me a perfect person to invest in because it's only me and my relationship, right? So it's definitely easier to invest in someone who's not married. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's true because there's no conflict. But with that being said, of course you invest in people who have families and children and they're successful entrepreneurs. I'm just saying that I believe it's easier when you don't have other responsibilities.
I'd like to learn something from you because it came up a couple of times and I'm not good at it. I admit. That's conflict. Dealing with conflict. If you were to teach me 2 or 3 tips to help me better handle conflict, what would that be? Because I'm terrible at it. You can ask all my exes.
Look, I think the best thing to do when you are in a situation of conflict is just to be honest. And I know that sounds like everyone goes, oh, that's obvious. But most people are not honest.
Okay. So how would if something is not working, what would you say? Like, how do I package that honesty in the best way?
Just say, look, you put their defenses down by just saying, look, I'm not here to hurt you. I don't want to hurt you. I'm not here to be your enemy. I just want to be honest with you. It's about not being, most people in a work environment feel that people are backstabbing. They want your job. They want to hurt you. I think putting the other person's defenses down is the best way to approach it by just saying, hey, look, I'm on your side. I don't want to hurt you. I just want to be honest and put this on the table. This is a problem. Can we fix it? So you're not in a me against you, but what's interesting is that whenever you speak to somebody about something that's difficult, you're dealing with all the emotional baggage of how they're going to react to it.
Which you have no control over.
Which you have no control over. So my advice is to try to put those defenses down by saying, I'm on your side. I'm not trying to hurt you. I want to be straightforward. But that's a little bit of psychology at the same time, right? And even with all that, if the person has all this built up psychosis where anything you say triggers them, you still might not win that game.
So I guess what I'm getting from you is be willing to face the discomfort and then deliver your intention first.
Put their defenses down first. I've done that. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, because you don't know how defensive the other person is.
Sure.
And just having a difference of opinion puts them on the defensive. But I try to do the best I can by saying, hey, I'm on your side. I'm being honest. I'm bringing it forward. I'm not going behind your back.
Yeah.
Because people, I find in business, have trust issues. And trust is a big one. Trust is a big one. And as your company grows, if you can't handle fame, fortune, money, attention, it'll change you as a human being, and it'll destroy you. And it'll destroy the company.
Yes. Yeah. For folks who are watching and listening, there will be a percentage of them who will catapult and get to have suddenly bombarded with fame, fortune, what have you. All the good things in life, but they might not have the training or be ready for it.
That's a big problem.
Yeah.
It's a big problem with startups.
What would you say? Do you have any tips for that? Like, how do you prepare yourself so you're not caught up? Like, there are some individuals, they have an anchor, and that anchor could be...
That's a really hard one. That's a hard one, because that's just flat out character, man.
Right.
And you can't train anybody on character. Yeah. It's values that are embedded in you as a child. That's a hard one. You can't make somebody have a strong character.
Sure. But you can develop character.
You can develop it, but, by the time you're 25 and you're an entrepreneur, your character's already embedded, and it's tough to change that character. Yeah. So it's a hard one.
I ask because in my case, I'll do a speaking tour, The Man Inspiring Millions, 10,000 people at a time, to 17 countries, come back, and then my nephew, who's 5.5, his son, will be like, Uncle Kev, and he'll tell me something, and that's like back to reality. So my 5-year-old nephew is my anchor.
Yeah, you need to be grounded, but you cannot ground people. You can only be responsible for yourself.
Right.
again, finding a partner is a miracle. It's like finding a marriage that lasts 50 years. How do you find a partner that lasts 50 years? You and your luck.
Right. It's give and take. Concessions, since give and take came up. There are times when you're negotiating, and no doubt your negotiation skills has been also developed. What are some tips when it comes to the negotiating table? And the reason I thought about it is because we said give and take.
Don't put your number down first.
Okay.
Let somebody else put the number down first. Don't ever say, I want this. What are you offering? So don't be the one to put the number down first. Let somebody else do it, and then you negotiate from there. Because I find if you put your number down, it's usually most of the time lower than what they were going to give you.
Okay.
So let them do it first. And then don't be offended. Just be like, it's great, but it's not going to work for me. Right?
What's the difference between knowing that you're onto something? I'm asking this question because of I guess perhaps a couple of generations ago, there was perhaps the lack of confidence. So there were people who were skilled but lacked the confidence to exhibit it. Today, we live in a world where there are people who are overconfident, but they lack the substance behind it.
You think so?
I think so, yes. I see it a lot.
Really?
Yeah, I guess, for example, my domain is public speaking coaching. I see a lot of overconfidence being the problem. The fact that they feel that they can go on stage and yap. They feel that they're good storytellers or that they're delivering the message with impact, which is not the case. And especially in the Middle Eastern culture, where people will just clap for you, but they're just clapping that you're done rather than clapping that it was good.
Well, my test is anyone on their phone. So if I look in the audience and see no one's on their phone, I'm doing a good job.
Right.
That's how I test my audience.
Sure.
When I see everybody's head up like this and they're not on their phone, I know that I'm reaching them.
Yes. But if there are two people on the table and they're both coming across as confident, how do you distinguish the person with substance? Because this is critical in finding a co-founder, a loved one, someone on your team, an employee.
So there are people who will have the ability to deliver.
Yes. And then there are a whole heap of bullshitters.
And there's a whole heap of bullshitters. And then you get to the point where there are people who will deliver, but you're not going to get along with them. That's an issue.
So that's even a segment, yeah.
That's a segment as well. There's no answer to this, right? It's just due diligence, gut. It's trust your instinct.
Right.
Trust your gut.
Yes.
And try to talk to the person and see if you can come to an understanding. It's like, when you're going to dinner with somebody, whether you have a connection with somebody or not. You can feel it in 5 minutes when you're at a dinner table.
But there will be questions I tend to ask if I'm at a dinner table.
Well, you can ask the questions.
Yeah, and then based on their answers, I get their
yeah. But if they're great at telling you a story,
psychotic,
and you're not gonna get the real answer.
This girl is a professional psycho.
You do your due diligence. You ask questions. What have you accomplished? You look to see what have they accomplished.
Sure.
Do your homework.
And that requires effort, and very often we don't want to do that.
Oh, I do my homework.
Yeah.
I ask. Like I wanted to invest in a skincare line. I called up every dermatologist that I asked. Do you know the team? What do you think about this? Does it work? You have to do your due diligence.
Yeah.
So asking questions. Just keep asking questions till you get to a point where you feel like you're comfortable enough.
Yeah.
Or not. And at the end of the day, even if you get all the right answers, it's still a crapshoot.
That's true.
Just like marriage, it's a crapshoot.
Yes. At best, you're slightly better than 50-50. At best.
You and your luck.
From your experience, your point of view, your kind of like lens of Silicon Valley in the Middle East and having the experience from both. And Kev, let's say, has 100,000 or $500,000 and goes, Joy, share with me the opportunities you see that's exciting over the next decade in the hope that perhaps I can piggyback with you and go into some investments. What would it be? What excites you? Like, what do you see from 2020 to 2030?
I see a disruption for the Middle East.
Middle East or anywhere else?
For the Middle East, fintech. Because the banking industry needs to be disrupted so badly that, God, I just want to please, fintech. We need fintech here.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're talking about like blockchain and,
Not necessarily blockchain, but disrupting this banking system, because I think banking here is definitely a hindrance for growth. Without a question.
Okay.
Access to money with the banks and checking and opening an account. It's a pain.
Opening an account.
Yeah. So I think fintech is a sexy opportunity, but how do you invest? I mean, how do you invest and where to invest your money? It goes back to what I said. Are you able to expand without, again, do you have a problem? Do you have a solution? Are you tech-based? It's back to the same things. Are you tech-based? Can you expand without capital? Do you need marketing dollars to bring in customers? And these are the three things. Do you have a heavy CapEx? Is there a lot of human capital involved in what you're doing? So there are some companies here who got crazy investment.
Yes.
But when you dig a little deeper, you're going to see that they're hiring hundreds of people and they have to train people to get the job done. I mean, anytime you have that, to me, I'm out. So again, you have to see the founders.
Yes.
Is the opportunity solving a problem? Do you have to spend tons of money in marketing? Do you have a tech solution? And can you expand into another region of the world as easy as 1, 2, 3?
Because, we all want to invest in a souk or a Kareem. Are you looking just in that sector, or are there other sectors that excites you?
I like those sectors. I like tech.
Okay.
I'm a tech person. I think it's going to be very tough for that to be here.
Okay.
I think AI is more something that I see in Silicon Valley because it requires a lot of data.
Energy management. Managing your energy.
Yeah.
And, just being able to go through the day, the week, especially if you're someone like yourself who's a go-getter. How do you manage your energy?
Food. What I put in my body is really important. Okay. How much sleep.
This is where your Cali girl thing kicks in?
This is my, I gotta sleep at least 7 hours a night. Sleep is very important. I go to bed every night at the same time. It's extremely important. Sleep is huge. My number one thing.
Yes.
I'm in bed at 10. I'm up at 5 or 6 a.m.
Okay.
I walk for an hour every day. It's very important to circulate your blood in your brains. It's my meditation, if you will. Okay. I do that in the morning. What I put in my body counts.
Yes.
Okay. It really counts. I don't eat crap in, crap out.
Yes.
100%. You put shit in your body. Sorry for my language.
No, absolutely.
You're going to get shit out.
100%.
So I take care of my spirit by taking care of my body, my sleep, and what food I put into my body. And I also like to connect with people that I feel love me. Like my mom, my dad, my brother, my friends. I connect to them on a heartfelt level that feeds me. Right? And that's how I take care of myself. It's a 360, again, the whole process.
Yes.
And I watch my thoughts. And I hang around with people that are positive, that make me happy.
Yes.
Right? I don't hang around people who are like, what are you doing? What are you wearing? This sucks. So you didn't do this right.
Get that out of here.
Yeah. I watch my energy and I make sure that I hang around people who serve me in a positive way.
Yeah. I asked that question because you're doing a lot and, with the travel and so forth,
I hate traveling, by the way. I hate getting on a plane. It's like, I hate it.
Yeah. Well, active choice.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. It's interesting that sleep is becoming now something that people are becoming more aware of.
It's my number one thing.
Yeah.
My number one thing.
It's been hustle, and then including myself. I used to think, I've got plenty of time to sleep when I'm dead.
Oh, no.
No, you're a much better person, Kev, and you achieve a lot more.
Sleep is
by
everything.
getting your sleep in properly.
Oh, yeah.
So it's significant.
Number one, for health, mental health.
Yes.
Sleep.
100%.
So they have this new blanket in California that everybody's using, and I got one. It's the weighted blankets. Have you heard about it?
I have heard
about
it.
They're filled with sand. Like, not sand, glass. They're filled with glass, and they weigh like 25, 30 pounds.
I didn't hear about that.
They're heavy.
Okay.
It's like
glass.
So imagine a cushion that has glass beads in it.
Okay.
So when they're not like glass where you cut yourself, but they're the glass beads.
Okay.
So it's a heavy blanket. And they give you really good sleep.
Kind of like those warmers you put in the microwave.
Yeah,
that kind of,
that
heaviness.
Yeah. But they're like...
Oh, that's a good one. I like one of those.
How does it help you sleep better?
Because the heaviness.
The heaviness has been known to put... Again, my California girl. It secretes serotonin levels in the body because the pressure, it's like a hug.
I was going to say, maybe it's just like a hug.
Yeah. So I bought one.
I didn't know it's
scientific.
And
it does. It's scientific. It makes you sleep better.
I do like blankets that are heavier.
Yeah, me too.
But I didn't know there was a scientific thing to it.
There's a scientific
I thought it was
thing.
just me.
So for those of you out there, get a heavy blanket. It helps. Yeah, so I'm finding myself sleeping better.
What's it called?
They're just weighted blankets.
I'll search it up.
It's like, remember when we were kids sleeping at Auntie's house, Auntie Mary's house?
She would have heavy blankets.
Yeah. It's exactly. So I got one.
Tip, sleep better, and if you need, weighted blankets. A tip you would have given, or perhaps if you were having a conversation with your 20-year-old self. what would be some things you'd share knowing what you know today?
What would I tell my 20-year-old self? You know, I think as an Arab American woman, my parents' obsession with me getting married. Like, they were like, when are you going to get married? When are you going to have kids? When are you going to get married? When are you going to have kids? And I spent a huge chunk of my 20s, like, I got to find a husband. Got to find a husband. Because I was embedded in my mind that my parents' idea of success for an Arab woman was just getting married and having kids. So I wish I didn't spend so much time. I wish I focused less on, I got to get married, and I focused more on accomplishing goals in my life. Because I have found in this day and age that a lot of my friends are divorced. And I find that a lot of women are relying on their men to take care of them financially. They went from their father's house to their husband's house. And let's face it, 50% of all marriages wind up in divorce, and the numbers are going up higher. And then I find a lot of women who are divorced who don't know who they are, because they're like, wait a minute, if I'm not somebody's wife and I'm not somebody's mother, then who am I? To me, that's a form of relying on a man for your emotional help, for your financial. And I find it imprisoning in a way. I find it almost, without using this word, I find it makes you a slave as a woman, because you don't make your own money and you don't have your own freedom.
Have you? I apologize for interrupting you.
So I just wish that my 20-year-old self was, less focused on what my parents wanted for me and more focused on what I wanted for myself. Because I think it's really important for women in this day and age to make their own money.
Yes.
And to have something. It's not about making money. It's about freedom.
Yes.
It's about your self-respect. Something happens when you get a paycheck. Something happens psychologically when you make money.
Absolutely.
And I think that empowers women. That doesn't mean you don't have to be a wife and a mother, but it means that you don't lose yourself.
Yes.
You set goals, whatever it is, and you accomplish them, and that gives you your self-esteem. That gives you your dignity. There's a dignity in earning your own paycheck. And it has nothing to do with being a wife and mother. And I think that's a really important message that I give out to women. Don't lose your job. You went to school to get an education. Use it. Don't lose that. Don't lose yourself. And that's a big message for women, to me.
Do you know Noor Al-Hassan? She's the founder of Tarjama. And what you're saying made me think of her, because part of her philosophy of having that business is she freelances, a lot of the work. Or
I've heard of her. I've never met, but I would love to meet her. If you know her, please introduce me.
I'll put the two of you. She's a friend of mine. I'll put the two of you together. And it's great because she's empowered. I mean, her focus is on empowering women.
But if you look at all the broadcasts that I speak about and that's all I talk about.
Yes. Yeah.
I talk about the double bind, which is really important to me.
Yes.
And it's something that's happened to me, right? If you're a strong woman and you have a voice, just a voice, and you speak what you feel, you're a troublemaker. You're disruptive, you're abrasive, and that has happened to me. It's like I have a voice. In the Middle East, women don't have voices. So just to speak up of what you're thinking and what you have in your mind makes you abrasive, and it makes you disruptive.
Yes.
And where a man is considered powerful and a leader and a visionary and his thoughts are provocative, a woman is looked upon differently, and that has happened to me. So it's the double bind.
Yes.
It's great for a man, it's a troublemaker for a woman, and that's something I fight every day. I fight every day to have a voice. And I don't think enough women, it's a balance between being heard or being liked. If you're quiet and you don't say anything, you're liked, but then you're overlooked. And if you have a voice and you speak, you're disruptive and abrasive. Because in the Middle East, women don't have voices.
So taking on that point, what would be some tips if someone's watching this, a female watching this or listening to the podcast, and she wants to develop her confidence? What would be baby steps, perhaps 2 or 3 baby steps she can take to develop? Because what you're saying requires a level of confidence.
Yes.
And if we don't have that confidence, the only way to get it is to take baby steps towards building our confidence. What would be some steps to help them become more confident?
It depends on where you're at, but it depends on what position you're in the company. But I mean,
or just in life as a person.
Try.
Yeah.
Speak your voice. Say what you feel. And if you really believe that it's going to make a difference, then keep saying it over and over and over and over. Repetition is the best way to get yourself heard.
Just get it through. Yeah.
And we're good at that. Yeah. Keep repeating until someone hears it. That's how you get practice.
That's true, absolutely. Yeah.
Keep repeating it over and over and over and over.
Yeah. It's like a powerful speech. It doesn't have to be quantity. It could be a single message, yeah.
One message.
Yes, we can. Keep repeating it for 18 minutes. Lasts for 10 years. Yeah.
So believe in it, repeat it. That's the message.
What would you say is a singular and clear sacrifice you've had to make to be here today?
Living away from my family in California. My mom is the love of my life.
Yeah.
So being away from my family has been a big sacrifice. And I think a lot of people who are living here in Dubai make that sacrifice if they're single. And the majority of people in Dubai are, they're single. Because they're young guys who are coming here for opportunity. I think it's hard to be away from your family. That's been my biggest sacrifice, is being away from my parents.
When you're making a decision, do you have a process in terms of arriving at that decision? So say you have a question and you're contemplating whether you should make an investment or not, whether you should take a meeting or not, whether you should do something or not, like perhaps moving. Do you do a list of pros and cons? Do you write it out?
I do. But at the end of the day, I make a gut. And when I follow my gut, I'm always right.
But that gut comes after having gone through,
yes.
You write it out? So
I do. I write a pros and cons. What are the difficulties that may arise? And then I try to implement those difficulties. Like if I'm partnering with someone, I will ask them, what's a clear plan of what are you looking for me? And what do I expect from you? What are our clear jobs? So you don't have a conflict of interest going forward. I try to put that down on paper. I try. And then, but even when you write it all down, it still causes conflict.
It all shit hits the fan.
All the time.
That saying, sleep on it. Do you sleep on it before making a decision? Or before coming back with your answer?
I sleep on it. I pray on it. I'm Catholic by religion, but I don't believe in organized religion. I believe in a God, but I don't believe in any book that was written. I believe in a supreme being. So what I do is I pray on it, and I actually ask for whatever was willed for me to happen and to reveal itself to me, and it always does.
And that's over time. So you don't go, I need to have an answer in 48 hours. Do you just allow yourself to simmer until you get to that answer?
It's not simmering. I ask for it to be revealed to me. Whatever is best for me, reveal it to me. And it always does. Because sometimes you need guidance. Call it spiritual, call it God, call it
signs, whatever.
Signs, whatever you want to call it. I'm not a religious person at all. So I don't go to church or any of that. I don't follow my religion, but I believe in a higher being and spiritual, if you will.
Yes.
And I ask for that to come through.
I guess I ask because sometimes we're put under a time pressure. I need your answer in 24 hours. I need your answer in 48 hours.
You know, your gut tells you.
Okay.
Your gut tells you this is not right. So follow your instinct. Follow your intuition is my thing.
That's your thing, yeah.
Yeah, because you know when something's not right. Don't make excuses.
Yeah.
You know.
And often the answer that comes to you, it's the simplest answer. That's the answer. Like, don't go complicating it. Yeah.
And you can resolve it by, trying to get more clarity with the person, but you know.
Yeah. What's your driving philosophy or a philosophy that you live by? Except the Eleanor Roosevelt one.
Show up.
Good. That's
90% of making shit happen is just showing up. I've met so many people by just showing up and asking for what you want. Like, I don't believe in asking for permission. I ask for forgiveness. Forgiveness is much easier than permission. So I just go after what I want. And if it's wrong, I'm like, I'm sorry, I won't do it again. But just go for it. Don't wait for permission. Just go for it.
That's really good. 500 years from now, history is going to read however history reads. My brother laughs because I do this for some reason. My mental image of history. It's going to say Joy Ajlouny was long after we're gone.
Well, Joy Ajlouny was somebody who lived her life by the beat of her own drum. disregarded convention. I disregarded what people thought, what they expected of me or what I was expected to do. And I followed what I wanted to do based by my own level of what I wanted for me. I followed my own path. And I think that in the Middle East, I was somebody who put a stake in the ground for women entrepreneurs. 500 years from now, there'll be women discovering a cure for cancer in the Middle East. But I can honestly say that I was somebody who spoke my mind in the early days where nobody wanted to be heard, wanted to hear it. I remember speaking about that we have to make it easier for entrepreneurs, right? And I remember saying that we need, less governance and we need more visas to help people stay longer. And people at the time, 7 years ago, when I was speaking out, were telling me that you better watch your back. The government's going to throw you out. And now what's really funny is that all the stuff that I spoke about 7 years ago is now being implemented. I remember speaking at a conference saying that, people in Germany and people in the United States are offering people in India and Pakistan or that have great degrees from these universities passports. How do we compete? How do we get these great talent, these great engineers from all over the world when the Germans are giving them a passport and the other people are giving them a reason to come with their families? How do we compete with that? How do we do that? And just asking that question was like, we're not going to invite her again because that's disruptive. And now the governments are saying, hey, we're going to give 10-year visas and so all the stuff I spoke about 7 years ago, about the governments helping the ecosystem for entrepreneurs. When I started 7 years ago, we had nothing. Now you have the Dubai Future Foundation promising money, and you've got Hub 71. So all the things that I spoke about 7 years was blasphemy and reasons to be thrown out of the country and disruptive. Well, guess what? 7 years later, someone heard me. And now all the stuff that I spoke about is now coming to play. So I want to be the woman who spoke up about change before any change ever happened in the Middle East. So I would love to be remembered as that.
That's awesome. That's beautiful. And before we let you go, for those that would like to follow you, pitch you perhaps, or they want to reach out to you, what would be the best way? So any particular socials? We'll place all of them.
Well, LinkedIn is always the best way, and through my email. I have an email address.
Sure.
It's
Perhaps we'll make it just so that you don't get flooded with the emails.
I do get flooded.
Yeah. So we'll put the LinkedIn link and maybe your website.
LinkedIn is the best way to reach out to me.
And then you can filter through who you want to speak to.
And I really believe that if you give, it comes back to you. And I've met with, again, it's the whole. I think if you were to ask me my philosophy, I'm more of a Buddhist than anything. I'm a Christian Buddhist. I guess I could call myself that. But Buddhism is the philosophy of giving and having a center and a peace. And I think, I've spoken to literally over 100 startups. And I do that because I genuinely get my own, it's selfish in a way. I think it was Nietzsche who said that charity is selfish because you get something from it. But in helping people, I've formed connections. And I genuinely enjoy helping somebody if I can.
Yes.
I genuinely do. With that being said, sometimes you have no time. So you don't like to hurt people by saying, I just wish I had more time. But I genuinely get pleasure out of actually helping people for nothing in it for me, but just to help them.
Yeah. I really got it. When I was doing my research, it came across.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 100%.
Thanks.
It really came across. And I really appreciate the fact that you made the time here. But since you mentioned giving, I'm going to ask you one last question and I will let you go, I promise. I do have more, but I'm going to ask.
Aren't you sick of me?
No, I love it. Since you mentioned giving, in a world that's starving of attention, if you had the world's attention for 60 seconds, what would it be? With whomever that might connect with your voice?
I believe giving is God. I really do. I think giving to humanity is what God is about. And I think it's religion, and it's my religion. I give. It's like throwing a rock in the ocean and not getting anything back for it. But eventually you do get something back because there's something in you spiritually. And I don't think people give. I think people are takers. And that's something that I will never, ever change in myself. I am a natural giver. I never say no. I say yes. And maybe it's selfish because I know I get something for it. So what I'd like to tell humanity is give just because. Just give something. I mean, I was at the beach yesterday and there was a woman who was serving food, and I had sunblock and I could see she was red. I just literally got up, instinct, and I just said, "Can I just spray your face with sunblock?" And she's like, "Oh, please." And it's something stupid. It's silly.
Simple,
it's just simple
but it
sunblocks.
makes a difference.
But she was like, "Thank you." And I could feel that I touched her heart over something ridiculous as I took a time out to feel somebody else. And I don't think we do enough of that. People don't connect. We're not connecting on a human nature. And I think that's why the world has become more and more disconnected through social media, because nobody talks to anyone anymore. Nobody connects to humanity. It's all through your phone. And it's sad to me.
I appreciate you giving your time here.
Yeah, well, thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks
it's
for
really
having me.
nice. Folks, wow, I learned so much out of today, whether it was...
I hope so.
Absolutely, when we started off with the energy aspect of it, whether it was business advice when it came to pitching and marketing, or just now what you're talking about giving. And what I really enjoy is when I did my research, before meeting with you, you're everything I had imagined.
Really?
More. Absolutely. Absolutely.
a little kooky, a little nutsy, a little bit dramatic.
All fun.
A little bit opinionated, a little bit...
We share a lot in terms of personality, more than you actually realize. So
Really?
I kind of get you, absolutely.
It's like that song, a little bit in my life, a little bit of it.
Oh, yeah.
That should be the theme song, a little bit of, because I'm a little bit of everything. So, yeah. I am who I am, and I don't make any apologies.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I just wish my audience or whoever, I wish that everybody gets to a point where they're really comfortable in their own skin.
Yes.
And I want to leave that message: be comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah. Wow. Please, I recommend you to watch this. If you're watching it, on YouTube or on video, watch it again, because you're going to get even more gems. There were literally plenty of gems that were dropped that you're guaranteed to have missed it the first time.
He's so sweet. Sure knows how to make a girl feel good.
I truly mean it. If you're listening to this, listen to it again. As always, this show is not about showing off. We hope that with every guest, we help you get inspired, get informed, and get going. And I'm certain with this episode, we were able to help you achieve that.
Thanks for having me.
I really appreciate it. You're very kind.
Thanks for having me, honestly.
Thank you. Please reach out. Don't spam, but reach out. Show your support. Let me know when you're investing next in things and you're looking for investors.
I will.
Hey, you got to know who winners are. If you got,
You're sweetie.
Play the winner. The game winners play.
You're really kind.
Thank you. If you have questions, please ask them below. Joy is busy. I'm not going to expect answers, but we'll try. I'll try and answer them. I'll try and ask and get some answers to answer your questions. If there were any thoughts that you found were good, feel free to continue on the conversation here. It's cold. Joy wants to leave. It's the truth of the matter.
I think it's like literally 18 in here. It's so cold.
It says 25.
We can hang some meat, like a meat locker in here. It's so cold.
Folks, this is How Do They Do It? I'm Kevin Abdulrahman, and my guest is the lovely Joy Ajlouny. Thank you.